I love the church's wisdom in putting together readings that try to open, especially the gospel. Generally, the two first readings are there to try help us navigate what Jesus is saying. And it's funny because wisdom says, how can we figure out what he's saying? What did the book of wisdom say? Who can know God's counsel? Or who can conceive what the Lord intends? Remember what he said in the gospel? And then it goes on to say, scarce do we guess things on earth, and what is within our grasp we find with difficulty. But when things are in heaven, who can search them out? So the first reading is actually kind of approaching the gospel passage. What is God saying? It's beyond all of us, at least in the beginning. Again, what does he say? He says that, is he truly saying, again, that we must hate our father, our mother, our wife and our children, our brothers and our sisters, and even our own life? And then going on to say, and if you can't do this, you cannot be my disciple. That's pretty heavy. But again, we already broke the ice a little bit at the beginning, letting everybody know this is idiomatic, which means, again, he's saying something, but there's some different meaning. There's a deeper meaning to it. And if we look at the book of the prophet Malachi, which we didn't have today, but nevertheless can help us, there's a certain phrase in Malachi that I think a lot of people in the room have probably heard. It's this: I have loved Jacob and hated Esau. The people in the time of the prophet Malachi would have understood what that meant. And by the way, who is Jacob and who is Esau? Who was their father? Anybody? Isaac. These are the sons of Isaac, who was the son of Abraham. So his two sons, Jacob and Esau. And what Malachi is saying, again in kind of an idiomatic way, is that Jacob is standing for Israel. He's not talking about Jacob and Esau, the two people. They were long dead when that was written, when these words were written. Jacob stands for all of Israel, and Esau stands for the Edomites, who were his descendants, who lived south of Jerusalem, south of the Israelites. And everyone who heard these words at the time of the prophet knew he didn't mean, again, that I despise or can have contempt for Esau. It means I prefer Jacob, or I prefer Israel, to the Edomites or Esau. And what that meant was I prefer the way they're relating to me, because the Israelites, or at least at that time, striving to be faithful, and the Edomites were not. And so all of that meant I prefer you loving me and being faithful to me, not loving me and not being faithful. That all meant to the people who heard what the prophet Malachi was saying. So it was a demonstrative way of saying, I greatly prefer this to that. And so now we look at what Jesus is telling us today that he prefers. He's saying something very similar. And so I ask everybody in the room, or let's say, I love pizza. Does anybody in the room love pizza? Okay, there's some people in the room. Does anybody in the room love pizza a lot? Okay, I'm assuming there's a lot of people in here who do. Do you love pizza more than your mom? Oh, okay. That's got a head scratcher going here. Unfortunately, though, there are some people in the world who do love pizza more than their mom because of something that happened, something that went down in their life when they grew up. But is that right? Even if it's true? No, it's not right. It's not right. Even if it's hard, I must strive to love my mom more than pizza. So I hope everybody in the room loves your mom, or at least is striving to love your mom. And so, do you love your mom more than God? Oh, okay. Now we're getting to what Jesus is getting at. And if he used this word hate in an idiomatic way, what he's saying is, we need to learn to prefer him first before all other loves in the world, even my own mom. In fact, if we don't love in that order, God, then mom, then pizza, then we don't really love any in the right way. Because mom is a gift. I love pizza, but I love mom more, who gave me, for a lot of us, the mom is the one who gives me pizza, sometimes even makes the pizza. So I love mom, who gave me the gift of pizza, more, and therefore, and I got an amen right there, although she's not at pizza stage. She gets something else from mom, even more beautiful. But this doesn't mean that I don't love pizza. It doesn't mean that I don't love mom. It doesn't mean that I have to hate either one of them. It just means that I have to love them all in the right order, in the order in which they come to me. So Jesus goes on in the gospel again to start to explain this with his next strange things that he says, ending with this. In the same way, any one of you who does not renounce all his possessions cannot be my disciple. So what's he trying to say again? You do not possess your mom. You do not possess the pizza. They're a gift to you from someone else. And so if you live as if, and that's why he says in the middle, he talks about the 10,000 troops going against 20,000. He's trying to make the point, you don't have enough of anything. You don't possess anything. So, as he says in the end, sue for terms. Come to terms right now with that everything you have is mine, given to you. In fact, you are a gift from him. You don't even possess yourself. And so we hear a lot, again, we're hearing a lot these days, this phrase, it's my body. I can do with it as I will. Well, when that phrase is usually talked about, it's twofold wrong in the sense that the body they're talking about within the womb is not their body. It's a somebody else. It's another person. And even if it were her body, she doesn't own that either. I do not possess anything. It is a gift from God. It's not mine. It's mine to be a steward of, whether it's this body, that body, anybody. And so the word renounce here, when Jesus says again, renounce your possession, is another idiom, meaning recognize who really possesses all the things that are out there, all the people that are here. They all belong to me. That's the whole point Jesus is trying to make today. So even if I don't like myself, that's not such a great insult on me. That's an insult on God. To say, I don't like myself. I look in the mirror and I don't like what I am. Well, that's insulting him. Way more than insulting me. And if I don't love my mom, that's hurting God even more than it's hurting my mom, because she belongs to him. So now let's look at St. Paul's reading today. And this reading with Philemon and Onesimus, what the heck? Which is another idiom, by the way. It means, you knew it. What the heck does this one have to do with all of this? Why did the church put this in the middle of it? Well, remember, Onesimus is Philemon's slave, who has been with St. Paul in his work of evangelization, and St. Paul is now sending him back to Philemon and encourage him to receive him back no longer as a possession, but as a brother. So again, the church understood and put these readings together to help us to understand what Jesus is talking about. It's the way in which we receive, the way in which we look at things. We can and should certainly love our father, our mother, our spouse, our children, our siblings, and our friends. Jesus is not telling us not to do that. He's just teaching us how to do that right, how to really understand how to love. He's telling us about the right way to love them, and in fact, as a gift from him. That by the way, is the whole thesis of John Paul II's theology of the body, that everyone is a gift. Everybody is a gift. And so we got our two books out there from Christopher West and from Emily Stimson that can even open this up more. And as you all know, I'm assuming most of you know, I'm getting ready to give my dad back to God, who is preparing to die. Still with us, slowly going down, keeps on rebounding a little bit here and there, but he's in hospice, and we know time is limited. And he, of course, again, most of you probably know, is the fourth one in a row in less than 2 years, and the fifth one overall in my immediate family that God has taken back to, or will possibly soon take back to himself. My mom already, 2 brothers, 1 sister, and now my dad is about to join them, and I hope in heaven, in the kingdom. If I really love them, and I really believe they belong to God even more than me, then I'm loving them rightly. And if I love them rightly, then I love and pray that they will get to be with him in heaven, even if I will miss them a lot for a little while. Jesus once said to his disciples, "If you love me, you would rejoice because I am going to the Father." And that was just before he left them, just before he had to go. Jesus belongs more to his Father than to me, and so does my family. But how blessed I am that God the Father has shared them with me. That's a blessing. And so are you a blessing. And so am I a blessing. We are a blessing to each other. So if we can learn to love God, we love everything. And if we love God and love everything, God shares everything with you. God bless you all, my brothers and sisters. Let us keep on enjoying what God has given to us as a gift.